Welcome to the post-pandemic freedom show brought to you by Bold Molders. I'm Dr. Wayne Buchanan here with my friend Joshua Shafran,
Howdy.
and we are continuing the ongoing conversation about the difference between being a collector and being a bold molder, and knowing that that key element that we've got going on as that common thread is making the unconscious conscious. Josh, what are we doing today?
Well, we're going to talk about using the Cby3 flywheel to help overcome the three major barriers when we're talking about achieving something that you haven't yet lived before. Something really big. When you're going for something, I'm not talking about a goal that you've accomplished or, and you're just tweaking a little bit more and you're going, I'm talking about when you say, I want to create something that's never been done before or that I've never done before, and I have no idea how to do it, I have no idea where I'm going, whatever that looks like, I'm talking about creating unprecedented results in the face of not having any proof or evidence that you've done it before or it can be done by you. So when we're
Like,
talking about,
for example, buying a building and making an event space and co-working and right? Yeah, that
right,
sounds familiar.
it's brand new and you're venturing into waters that you've never been in before. When you're taking on that type of vision and when you're going for something that there's three major barriers, and the first two are the strongest, and then there's the C by 3. It's literally a flywheel because each time you go around the flywheel it feeds to itself, and you can build momentum with it so that it goes even faster. But it is a distinct journey of going from not having any clue because you haven't done it before, you haven't created it before, you haven't done any of this before, it's completely unknown to you, and creating something that hasn't been done. And how do you go through that journey? There's some success leaves clues, so to speak, in that you can see the pattern, you can see and what to expect. So I think that's important. And with
Yeah,
that, why don't we shift over to the other
yeah.
view? Um,
How to
is
dissolve the three barriers of living stress-free abundance on your terms without sacrificing meaningful impact you're meant to create.
is there
Yeah.
something that you want me to cover before we start kind of drilling down on this, Wayne?
No, I think we got plenty of ground to cover. Let's go.
All right. So again, what we're looking at is that if in I'm going to blow this up and we'll be able to look at it a little bit better and easier in different sections. But this is the journey that we're going for. Okay, so if we're down here and we're completely unbeknownst, and where we want to go is where we say we want to be is up here in the middle of the bullseye. This is the journey. It's a journey from the emotional journey from over here. It's a journey from the barrier journey. But again, just remember that it's on something that you haven't traveled this path yet. So you don't know how it's going to go. You don't know what to expect, and so that's what the whole framing of this is about, is coming from that perspective.
And
What do you
as
got?
usual, we have a nice linear looking thing that is anything but. So this
Yeah,
is just a simplified diagram so that we can see it rather than the usual mess that we know is a non-straight path.
right, right. Um, but this is the where the C by 3 comes into play. Here is the first C is clarity, the second C is courage, and the third C is confidence. And it starts, notice that the courage dips into all of it, and it does again imply a linear progression, but it's not. So what I'd like you to kind of just visualize or imagine is a flywheel, or what do you call it, the
Water wheel.
yeah, the water wheel, like the boat, the paddle boats, or
Oh, yeah.
um, like going down the Mississippi. What's that? There's anyway.
Yeah.
Um, and if you picture, like, you scoop up a bucket of clarity, and then that in the act of clarity dumps into a bucket of courage, and then the courage leads to the to the confidence. And so, but what that implies is that you just do it once and then you're done. No, it is literally like you dump all of the clarity out into your bucket of courage, and that then helps to the bucket of courage helps to refill the clarity bucket, and also then you have something or fuel to be able to dump into the confidence bucket to keep the whole thing going and to make that first revolution. The first turn of the wheel is the hardest. The first go round of it is the hardest, and that's because of this barrier of inertia right here, where you starting from a standing still, static stop. Once you get a little bit of motion, it's easier to keep that going, and in fact not only keep it going, but actually increase the momentum and the speed. And with each revolution, it gets better and faster and easier. So I know you have some thoughts on this, Wayne. What do you have to say and share on this?
Yeah, I was off doing my own little inner journey of the where am I gonna add some more momentum to. I was off thinking about building stuff. So like, no, where do I need momentum? Oh, I need to be. Do I really need momentum there? I got stuck on I need to shampoo the carpets. Like what? But it's momentum building. Like, okay, cool, that's a thing.
Well, it is if it's giving you progress towards where it is that you want to go.
Yeah.
It can also be a trap, and that's what I guess the let me blow this up and make sure that you can see it. The clarity breakthrough is important and vital, and it starts everything, but it's only as important and as vital as it is to get going until it isn't anymore. And what I mean by that is that very, very often we get stuck in this trap of, well, I need to figure out all things about everything and know everything about it that it can possibly be, and figure it all out and have it dialed in, and then I'll be able to go all the way through all these steps, and it will be then a straight line in between where I am right now at the bottom all the way up to where it is that I say I want to get to, and bada bing bada boom, I can do it in like magic. And it's what I call like the clarity epiphany. Like if we get I need to figure out why I'm confused, why I'm overwhelmed. I have to figure out, why I'm stuck on cleaning the carpets or whatever. And once I figure out all of this stuff out and I figure out the magic formula, then I will have this great epiphany where everything else is just one and done, and they all lived happily ever after. And even if it was possible to do that, there's a gap between learning what to do, knowing what to do, figuring out what to do, and actually being able to apply it into action. And if you wait until to take that next step, to get over yourself and get past that, if you wait until you get into that realm to make a move, then what you're going to find is that you're never going to make the move, because you're waiting for it to bring the clarity is going to bring the action. And you have to be willing to take action before full understanding. Yes, you need to have enough clarity so that you have a fuzzy view of where it is that you're going, or at least the next step that you think will take you close to where you want to be. And then have the courage, tap into that courage that once you get a little bit of clarity, the beautiful part about clarity, courage, and confidence is that they're part of our default position. It's part of who we are. We live there all the time. But all this other stuff gets covered up on top of it, and we can't access it. So if we get a little bit of clarity, that gives us enough to then access, it uncovers courage. And then we tap into the courage instead of courage to what? Courage to actually make a move. To fear failing, to try something that may not work out exactly the way we hope it will immediately right now. And then in the act of doing that, of tapping into that courage that we now have available to us because of the clarity allowed it, then that gives us confidence. Regardless, and I want you to really hear this, we get confidence by tapping into our courage, regardless of whether the action or the payoff was exactly what we hoped it would be or thought it would be, we get courage and confidence. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, so to speak, in that it gives us more energy because we actually can feel good about making some forward progress. Whether or not we have to tic-tac another way, we're now actually in the game. We've got the wheel is now actually moving. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I definitely had a moment of I need to unpack this idea that not getting the results also gets us confidence. And I realized it depends on what you think the confidence is in, right? It's confidence in myself that I can do the things that need to be done, can make the adjustments, like I can survive whatever just happened. That sort of confidence, not the confidence that I will get the end result that I thought I wanted.
You're confusing confidence with certainty, which is the fourth C
Mm,
that I was going to talk
okay.
about later. Because
Okay.
what you want is certainty, a guarantee, a certainty that it's going to actually happen the way that I envision it, the way that I think it should be, and exactly how I have it in my head right
Yeah.
now, attachments and all. And I want the certainty of knowing before I ever even get going that I'm gonna be able to get this result. Now,
Right.
confidence means that yeah, I can weather the storms. I can quote unquote make a misstep or fail and still not die.
Yeah.
The confidence that
Confidence in your
I'm
resilience.
yeah, confidence in the game, confidence in the joy of doing what it is that I'm doing, confidence in being able to celebrate the fact that I've just another C word for you, celebrate the fact that I'm actually in the game doing things that I'm not just selling out on myself and the way that I maybe have before. At least that's been my pattern, where it's like I talk a big game and then I fall woefully short of actually executing it the way that I had intended to do it. So when you think about these three C's here, and as a flywheel, what ends up happening is that if you just get enough clarity to overcome the confusion barrier, to overcome the overwhelm barrier enough, that you then have the next barrier that you have to contend with is that inertia. Doing something for the first time, taking that step so that you could, because a body at rest wants to stay at rest. And so that's why the first time through the rotation of the wheel is the hardest, the slowest, because you're bumping up against the inertia barrier. But all of this feeds to each one of the other one. Each one feeds to the other one. So the point is to get enough clarity that you then tap into your courage, because as soon as you get enough clarity that okay, I don't have to know all the moves to go all the way to the end result up here at this point in one fell swoop. But enough clarity. Where am I at? I guess I should look at the actual monitor here so that I know what you guys are seeing. That I get enough clarity to overcome, and now I can start bumping into the inertia, but the courage that I got from the clarity now gives me enough courage to actually follow through and climb up the ladder and get into action and make a move. And in the act of moving, I get confidence. And then now all of this informs all of this other thing. So as we make these mini steps in between, and all of this is fractal, by the way, there's little mini barriers and breakthroughs and little stair steps all the way through this.
So, Josh, what I'm hearing is if someone wants to put this into action today, we need to look at what's the tiny little bit of clarity that we need to get moving, that feeds that tiny little bit of courage, that feeds that tiny little bit of confidence, right? So then we can start building up that momentum and, we can just walk through that and keep moving. Is
Yeah,
that
because
accurate?
absolutely, because then what ends up happening is that, like you were talking about, the feedback loops or the flywheel, is that
Mm-hmm.
each time, like so you tap into some courage, you get enough clarity to get into action, into application, trying something. So you're tapping into your courage, and then you make a move, whatever that produced in terms of results at this point doesn't matter, but you made a move, and then that taps into your confidence because you're now getting some into motion. But what also happens is that now you have the next question, like what's next? Where do I go? And so now it feeds itself where now you're saying, all right, now I really do need to get some more clarity for the next revolution around that flywheel, and then the process begins again and again. So when we discuss that in terms of the how, that's, I think the biggest thing is to stop thinking about the clarity as the end all be all answer to things, and that in fact it may be keeping you stuck in trying to figure it out and trying to figure out how you got here. Well, wait a minute, I got to figure out how I got to this point in order to get to where I want to go. And how you got here doesn't matter one iota. It is a complete trap. And how you got to this point and how you got stuck is not going to bring you any closer to where it is that you say you want to go, because you've never been to where it is that you say you want to go before. Remember, this is an unprecedented bigger future type results that you're looking to create. You haven't created it before. You haven't been there before. Mm-hmm. You haven't traveled this journey ever. So you're setting yourself up for abstract failure if you get stuck in that I got to figure out how I got here. And really, at the end of the day, if you'll examine it, it's just an excuse to avoid coming over that inertia barrier and breaking through that. And so the answer to that is to tap into the courage to do something, to take action before full understanding. You don't have to have, you have to have enough understanding to make the next move. Not, it's like a game of chess. I can't make my next move until you make your move. I can think many moves ahead, but in actuality, the game changes. The game of chess, something by like the third move, there's over 9 million some odd possible combinations of games of chess by just the third move in the first, in a game of chess. So how could you possibly think through all the things or be guaranteed success, and have the certainty that you're longing for until you do that? So it just feeds to the next one. It feeds back to the to allow you then to make a move, and then you'll fine tune it, and you'll see now, all right, where is it that I need more clarity realistically, and you're not then tricking yourself into wasting energy and time on how did I get here? How did this happen again?
And I think that's a great insight, that the clarity breakthrough could become its own sinkhole, right? You could get stuck there, either looking at the past or trying to plan out everything in the future. I think that's a spectacular piece there. And I see the same thing on the confidence one. Oh, I can't move forward until I have so much confidence to do. No, it's tiny little bits more than we had before to keep building that momentum.
Yep.
The other thing I heard this time is that if in doubt, tap into some courage and take a little action and just go.
Trust that it's there for you.
Yeah. Sweet. So I think that's a really good take-home task that anyone can dip their toes in the water as it is and go do the thing. What next?
Well, what's next is basically applying this in your life, taking the understanding, the knowledge, these tools, these resources on a general level that we've been giving them to you and providing the insights for you, and making it specific to your needs so that it's personalized to who you are, what it is, the mountain that you're choosing to climb, where it is that you say you're going, and realistically where you are at the moment, and what you need in terms of clarity and so on. So what's next? I think the best tool that we have right now for somebody to put it into specific implementational ideas and aspects is your post-pandemic abundance playbook, because it's a workbook, textbook, or like the worksheets are tied into that, but it's a way for them to take yours as a teaching model or as a learning model of what you're doing, And the way that you've put it into it's a fun read. It's only 28 pages, but and many of the 28 pages are actual, like, fill in the blank what to do, so that you can begin to make it specific to your needs. And let's face it, all of this is to give you the tools to live the life that you want to live and achieve and experience post-pandemic freedom, not just learn about it, not just collect up a new piece of learning and education and fun distinctions, which is all fun to have, the discovery and the new breakthroughs and all of that. I love that too, but it's to actually be able to live it, to use it, to implement it. And the post-pandemic abundance playbook, I think, is the easiest way to do it. And luckily, if you haven't already gotten it, it's free to download. Just go over to postpandemicabundance.com, and it'll take you right over to Gumroad, where you'll find the report that Wayne wrote for us, to be able to download it and use it to your heart's content. And I think it'll really help to bring it into specific focus for you.
All right. Any other closing thoughts before we sign off for the day?
No, I think that's good enough for folks. I think that if they will put it into specific action for themselves, whatever that looks like for them, and take themselves on, because you know whether you're selling out on yourself or whether you're stretching. And, stretch enough so that you're not selling out on yourself, but not so much that you're trying to swallow the elephant whole or drink from that fire hose. And you're the only one that gets to say what that is the right amount for you, because it's different for all of us. And as we go through life and on different subjects, it's different. So that's what I have to say about that.
All right. Until next time,